does the Pentagon understand the spiritual implications of this supernatural world taking over, let's say, a robot becoming demonized, the ghost in the machine, so to speak? Do they even plan for that? Do they, because they plan for everything, and obviously all that stuff is probably in the spook factory and off limits to the average guy, but, you know, what is your take on the fact that as a biblical Christian scholar, author, and also someone with the pedigree and, you know, the practical world that you've lived in the Pentagon and still, you know, are a consultant to, how does that fit when you're talking to guys that are just straight military, you know, and they've grown up in the military and they just think it's throw weight, size the explosion, who's first off on the missile, you know what I'm saying? The standard war-making mentality versus the artificial intelligence versus the demonic intelligence. Will you address that? Because I think it's really for those of us who know the scripture that we're wrestling against Satan. Satan's making his pitch for the world. I don't know that most people understand that, even Christians. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, a host of issues there, which is typical of you, Steve. Certainly the Pentagon is full of 24,000 people, and of course, the armed forces is millions of people. The senior leaders typically are very laser focused, and when you talk about things of an existential or other realm, they avoid that. They don't like to talk about the things that they do not understand. What they understand are hard facts about what adversary capabilities are, what they might do, and try to discern what their intentions are from a truly rational point of view. You talk to them about things of the unseen realm, things of Satan and his demonic angels, demons, and they look into the stars and they just don't, it doesn't comprehend. Now, of course, we just launched a new project to look at UFOs. And I think that really is going to send some people for a curve just because they have to consider the unimaginable and those things that are beyond their five senses, which is difficult for a lot of these what I call using Myers-Briggs, the ISTJs, the people that see the world as black and white, good and bad, and don't see anything other than that. But that's the nature of the bureaucracy. We do have people that are truly deep thinkers that will, push the envelope on what these black and white thinkers will deal with. But most of the decisions are not going to consider, these ideological, spiritual issues at all. I can tell you, after 9/11, I had a friend, and I talk about this in, I believe, Future Wars, that was dealing inside the Joint Staff, which is, works for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and he was analyzing what Al-Qaeda and what the Islamists had in mind, how they would, perceive the world, how they would fight, and so forth. And of course, at that time, we were very much involved in irregular warfare, anti-terrorism, stability operations, and the like, having been in Afghanistan, and of course, in 2003, we went into Iraq. And my friend, who was, a lawyer and very much astute, understood the Quran, the Hadith, the Sirah, and other of the authorities of Islam, he said, this is what they will do. This is how they operate. Well, he was kicked out. He lost his job because he was too straightforward about understanding the nature of the threat. We have today, of course, and I work with these types of people all the time, officers that are experts on China, experts on their thinking, but they often ignore what I consider the more important issues, and that is not necessarily what the Mao Zedongs of the world have said in their little red books or the like, but, kind of the spiritual issues that are deeply embedded behind the scenes, the things that most Americans that are at least recognizing the unseen realm would like to understand better. We don't consider that when we write our campaign plans, when we write our contingency operations, and we should. And I've gone through many, many briefings on what we intend to do with regard to China, what we intend to do with regard to Russia. I ask some pretty tough questions, and I get weird stares back because they just don't like to consider these things that they don't quite understand.
Do you believe that they have underestimated Russia's advanced weapons technology? Do you believe they absolutely don't understand the damage? This is my opinion now, so I'm not going to put you on the hot seat, but when Bill Clinton gave to China all of our patents, it was an open fact known, even our top secret patents. So now, do you believe that the contemporary mindset of the Pentagon as it exists now, as you see it manifesting, can even embrace the, if you will, the advanced weaponry? Because Russia's pragmatic, so is China. And by pragmatic, if they want to field a system, they don't care that it's the neatest bells and whistle. They don't even have to have a $20,000 gold toilet seat in their aircraft. The bottom line is that they simply get things done, and they produce quantity, and they produce. So Vladimir Putin, let's take him first. I know. I'm trying to give you the concept, Bob. So take whatever pieces you want of it, but it seems to me that they're continually caught off guard, and I understand I'm not privy to what goes on behind books, but I can tell you this, from what I see, the contemporary things when I read Jane's Defense Weekly, American Military News and stuff, can I say something? As a novice, they were so wrong about China for so long when we were being China chummy, and then they've been underestimating Vladimir Putin, and with China's ascendancy. And here you've got, some of the most sophisticated weapons, hypersonic missiles, good night, all the stuff that the Tesla physics stuff that Russia is. So take that if you would. But the thing is, answer that to the degree you want to answer that in whatever way. Because have we underestimated the weapons development of our enemies? And are we, in essence, because of our mindset in the West, clueless to how fast they can bring something online and deliver?
I would say that we typically are not clueless, but it depends upon which part of this giant bureaucracy called the U.S. government are you going to poke to get the answer. Now, everyone's heard about the 17, 18 intelligence agencies that the U.S. government has. Well, only a couple of them do any real analysis. The others are just gatherers of information. Those that do the actual analysis, Defense Intelligence Agency and Central Intelligence Agency, of the two, the CIA really scarfs up all of the right types of information and then provides a fact-based analysis. Now, frankly, they got it terribly wrong in 2002 when they fed information to the likes of President Bush and Cheney, who ran with the ball on weapons of mass destruction. That's a different issue, but I've written about that, and I had inside information. But are the analysts that are getting all this data at the agency, in DIA, and ultimately in the Pentagon, are they getting the right type of information? Do they understand what the Chinese and the Russians and others, like the North Koreans, the Iranians, and a variety of others are doing? And how not only are they robbing us blind through their cyber technologies and through their active spying, either through our universities or our high-tech firms, are they taking advantage of that? Well, of course they are. We know that we've lost a great deal of high-tech information that is feeding their industrial base and feeding their armed forces buildup.